Namaste everyone. Taking a few words of Sri Aurobindo today for reflection, and where he talks about the necessity of the ego and also the way forward. Ego is the helper, ego is the bar. So let us read these lines and then we'll reflect upon it shortly. In the crowd, and again I'm taking it from this compilation Growing Within. It's a beautiful compilation by Mr. A.S. Dalal, um, but you'll find it online also on Incarnate Word or wherever words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo are available online. So I'm just reading it out from this compilation. In the crowd, the individual loses his inner direction and becomes a cell of the mass body moved by the collective will or idea of the mass impulse. So, just like we say in Hindi, the bhed chal, where one sheep goes, all the sheep also follow the same. Or where all the sheeps are going, rest of the sheep is also following. So, we do get influenced by the society, and all of us, that is all of the thoughts, opinion, ideas we may have inside us, thinking that they are our own, actually are not our own. We know that we are conditioned by the culture we live in, by the parents that we may have, by the society that we are living in. So it's a collective idea, collective will that we may be having, and we don't have any will of our own. We don't have any idea or opinion of our own. But this is the first step. This is the first step where we find ourselves. So in the crowd, the individual loses his inner direction and becomes a cell of the mass body, like it's a big body, and in which the individual is just one cell following that mass movement, moved by the collective will or idea of the mass impulse. So whatever society wants, the individual will also do that. Okay, today society wants a lot of engineers, the individual will become an engineer. Today the society is in demand of many doctors, so the individual will become a doctor. So as if I have no will of my own. He has to stand apart, affirm his separate reality in the whole. So that is the first step. Before surrender comes owning ourselves, who we truly are, who am I really? So mother says that before you can offer yourself, you should know what you are offering. Because if I'm just a sloppy mass of slime, with no unique individuality, what will I surrender to the divine? So, first step is to know ourselves as the ego individuality. So, ego has a place in all this. That's what Sri Aurobindo is sharing here, that he has to stand apart, affirm his separate reality, that no, society may be wanting this, but I don't want to go there. So, this separate rebellion, where we reach at it through rebellion or a revolt, that's how it is there usually in the society, but it necessarily need not be there. But one needs to recognize that there is also an inner call, inner want, rather than what is wanted by the society. So he has to stand apart, affirm his separate reality in the whole, his own mind emerging from the common mentality. So the common mentality may be wanting doctors or engineers. But what do I really want? So although that is still a superficial uh, individuality, it's not the true individuality, but there is a reflection of true individuality even in the superficial individuality, which is the ego sense. So the ego sense has to develop first. I have to know what I want, what I don't want, to know my likings, my non-likings, my preferences. That's how we know our swabhav. That's how I know my natural inclinations. So uh, to have his own mind emerging from the common mentality, his own life distinguishing itself in the common life uniformity, even as his body has developed something unique and recognizable in the common physicality. So just like my body is a separate individuality, I can see that, okay, this is who I am, this is my body, that is your body. So at the level of physics, even if we go deeper, we will see that these boundaries are actually not there, the demarcations are actually not there. Yet we know that the body as a border, as a limitation, has its own uniqueness. It's an instrument of the divine work. So it's also okay to affirm that this is my body and this is how I would like to take care of this temple that I have, or the body, the instrument that I have. So just like the body has a separate sense of this is me, just like that, the mind and the emotions also have to develop, the mental and the vital ego also have to develop like an individual. Okay, this is where I want to be, this is not where I want to be. So this individuality, superficial one, has to develop first. Nature invented the ego that the individual might disengage himself from the inconscience or subconscious of the mass and become an independent living mind, life power, soul, spirit, coordinating himself with the world around him but not drowned in him. So I don't have to get drowned in all the mass impulses. I have to know, okay, this is where I end, this is the other person has his own boundaries, and we can respect each other. For the individual is indeed part of the cosmic being, but he is also something more. He is a soul that has transcended from the transcendence. This he cannot manifest at once. So suddenly I cannot just manifest the soul itself. I have to first know myself as the mind and the life, and then slowly disengage from the mind and the life and know myself as something beyond that. So just a second, I'll have to plug the power in. So this happens many a times whenever I am recording, in the middle of it the power vanishes. Yeah, sorry. So I have to recognize who I am in superficial individuality before I begin to say that, okay, I am ready now to surrender. Because I should know what am I surrendering. So Sri Aurobindo says, for the individual is indeed part of the cosmic being. We are all one. There is one divine being and we are all parts of that. But he is also individual. Just like we have the whole body. And in that there are little cells. But each cell, although it is part of the body, has its own unique individuality in the sense that I am a kidney cell. I am a cell of a lung. I am cell of pancreas. So each cell has its unique individuality. Although it may appear that the body has millions of cells and there is nothing unique about those cells, but every cell is unique. So we have to recognize that uniqueness, our own swabhav, we have to recognize. For the individual is indeed part of the cosmic being, but he is also something more. He is a soul that has descended from the transcendence. So first I have to recognize the superficial individuality. Ego is a temporary individuality that I cling on to before I get on a realization of my true individuality, which is the psychic being, which is coming from the soul consciousness. But before jumping onto that, I have to nurture my unique talents, abilities, my own likings, preferences, non-likings, and to respect them, and know myself as an individual. And then in that I can go further deeper and get in touch with my inner calling. What am I really? What is the purpose of my life? What am I here for? So the soul that he is, this he cannot manifest at once. I cannot just suddenly begin to express the soul level because he is too near to the cosmic inconscience. Not near enough to the original superconscience. So I am not so close to the soul consciousness that I am truly. I am also not far away, in fact very very close to the tendencies and patterns that inhabit me, that I am run by. He has to find himself as the mental and vital ego before he can find himself as the soul or spirit. So before I can get in touch with the consciousness aspect, I have to know my thoughts, feelings, and sense perceptions. I have to know my inclinations. I have to know my natural threads and patterns. and I have to kind of respect that, okay, this is who I am, this is where I am. So first, to notice the content of, for example, there is a space, and in the space there may be furniture. So imagine that thought and feelings and sense perceptions are furniture, and my true consciousness, soul consciousness, is the space, which has its own color actually. Psychic being has its own color. So before I get on to knowing myself as the space, I have to know the content of consciousness, which is the thought, feeling, sense, perceptions. I have to know myself as that content. Now, once I own that content, I know myself as that content, I begin to become aware that there is more to me than the content of the room. That the content is there in the space which is inhabiting the room. And I am that space which allows all the manifestation to happen. But before that can happen, I have to recognize and validate where I am right now. What is it that I like? And also to respect that. For example, if one person may like more bodily movements but is not doing at the moment, so do more bodily movements if the inner call is there. So other person may want to read more, to spend more time in the library. That's my natural inclination, but I am not able to. So to spend, to respect that inclination and to spend time there. And that's how we develop an individuality, and then later on come to surrendering the individuality. So again, that's sharing a bit of reflection there, and I hope we are able to go deeper into this and maybe uh, have more insights on these words by Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So thank you so much.